If you're parenting a child with ADHD, you already know it can feel like you're trying to solve this beautiful, really complex puzzle, but you've lost the instructions. Well, today, we're going to piece together a guide. We're going to dive into how you can create a calmer, more supportive home where, and this is the important part, both you and your child can truly thrive. First things first, let's just acknowledge something right up front. This is hard. It can be absolutely exhausting. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed or just completely out of ideas, please know you are so far from being alone. Those feelings are 100% valid. And you know what? They're actually the perfect place to start finding a new way forward. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to walk through 4 key areas. We'll start by really understanding the challenge. Then we'll get into a huge mindset shift. After that, we'll cover practical strategies you can start using tonight. And finally, we'll talk about why you don't have to do this by yourself. All right, let's jump into section 1, the ADHD parenting challenge. So many of the day-to-day struggles don't come from a lack of love or a lack of trying. They usually come from a simple misunderstanding of what's really driving our child's behavior. And this right here, this is a game changer. What we see on the surface, what looks like defiance, or maybe laziness, or a flat-out choice to not listen, is almost never the real story. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath all that is the real issue, an unmet need, or a skill that just hasn't developed yet. Your child isn't trying to give you a hard time. Their brain is just wired differently, and they're struggling with things that are truly out of their control. And that idea leads us straight into what I think is the most important part of this whole guide. It's about making a huge shift in how we see our role. It's about moving away from being a disciplinarian and stepping into the role of your child's coach. So here's the absolute truth of it. ADHD is not a behavior disorder. It's a neurological difference. It's brain-based. And it specifically impacts something called executive functions, which is basically the management system of the brain. These are the skills that control everything from paying attention and managing our emotions to planning and staying organized. When you truly grasp that, it changes everything. And you can really see the two approaches here, side by side. The disciplinarian just reacts to the behavior, often using punishment to try and stop it. And that, as you probably know, just leads to this frustrating cycle for everybody. But the coach gets curious. They try to understand the why behind the behavior. They focus on teaching the skills that are missing and meeting those needs. It's not just more effective, it is way less stressful for everyone involved. And if you're on this journey, I really want you to know that you are part of a huge community. Somewhere between 5 and 8% of kids around the world have an ADHD diagnosis. Now, this isn't some new epidemic. It's a sign that we're finally getting better at recognizing it. And that's a good thing because it means more kids can get the support they actually need to succeed. Okay, so we've got the mindset down. Now let's put it into action. It's time to open up our practical toolkit and look at how we can turn that coaching mindset into real, actual strategies that will bring more calm and connection into your home. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, these 3 principles are the foundation for everything. First, structure and predictability are your best friends. Second, always aim for connection over correction. This means you're actively looking for what's going right, not just what's going wrong. And third, create a collaborative partnership. You're a team. These ideas should really guide every interaction you have. And within that framework, we're going to get even more specific. We'll focus on 4 key strategies you can start using today. Creating that all-important structure, harnessing the power of positive reinforcement, communicating with total clarity, and finally, the really critical skill of co-regulating emotions. Okay, strategy number 1, structure. I want you to think about it like this. The ADHD brain's internal filing system can be, pretty chaotic. It has a tough time with organization, with planning, with the whole abstract idea of time. So, one of the most powerful gifts you can give your child is to provide that structure on the outside. So what does that actually look like? It means having really consistent routines, especially for those tough times of day, like mornings and bedtime. It means using visual charts and checklists so your kid can literally see what's next. It takes the burden off their brain. It also means you stop saying, clean your room. Instead, you break it down. First, put your toys in the bin. Next, put your books on the shelf. You can also use things like visual timers to make 5 minutes something they can actually see, not just a concept they can't quite grasp. And this is exactly why that works. When a child knows what's coming next, it lowers their anxiety. It frees up all this mental energy. They can stop spending so much effort trying to figure out what's going on and actually start participating in their day. A predictable environment is, for them, a calm and safe environment. All right, next up is positive reinforcement. This one is huge because the ADHD brain is basically wired to seek out novelty and immediate feedback. Old school punishments, they usually backfire. They create shame, they can create defiance, and they don't actually teach a new skill. But praise that is specific and immediate, oh, that is like rocket fuel for their motivation. The real key here is to become a detective for the good stuff. You have to actively hunt for it. When you see it, praise the specific action. Not just good job, but wow, I love how you put your shoes away without me even asking. And focus on their effort, not just whether they got it perfect. Simple reward systems like putting a marble in a jar every time they complete a chore can work wonders. Just always remember, the goal here is to teach, not to punish. Let's talk about how we talk. I think we've all been there, right? You give what feels like a simple instruction like, go get ready for school, and nothing happens. That's because for a kid with ADHD, a vague multi-step command like that can feel totally overwhelming, and it often just causes them to shut down. So how can we do it better? It's actually pretty simple. First, get eye contact. Then, give one and only one clear instruction at a time. Then, you wait. Once that's done, you give the next one. A great little trick is to ask them to repeat the instruction back to you. That way you know their brain has actually processed it. And please, let those visual schedules and timers do the nagging for you. Save your voice. Our last strategy is, I'm not gonna lie, maybe the hardest one, but it's also the one with the biggest impact. Your emotional state is contagious. Your ability to stay calm in a stressful moment directly impacts your child's ability to learn how to manage their own big feelings. You are their emotional co-pilot. Being a calmer parent starts with the pause, that tiny space between your child's behavior and your reaction. It also means you have to prioritize your own self-care because you can't pour from an empty cup. And this is so, so important. ADHD is highly genetic. There is a very real chance that you might be struggling with some of the same executive function challenges. Getting support for yourself is one of the very best things you can do for your child. Which leads us perfectly into our final section, building your support team. Because you absolutely, 100% do not have to do this alone. In fact, you shouldn't. So what happens when you're trying all these strategies at home, you're really giving it your all, but it still feels like an uphill battle? Well, that is completely normal. And I need you to hear this. Seeking professional help is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of smart, proactive parenting. It's just adding more experts to your team. Your child's team can have a lot of different players. You might have professionals who can help with medication, like a psychiatrist, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, or a physician assistant. You'll definitely want a therapist or psychologist on board to help build skills. And don't forget the team at school, the people who can help put accommodations in place with an IEP or a 504 plan. And you know, the research on this is incredibly clear. For most kids, the most effective treatment, the gold standard, is a combination of behavioral therapy, all those strategies we just talked about, and medication. Think of it this way. Medication can help regulate the brain's chemistry, which then makes it so much easier for a child to actually use the skills they're learning in therapy. Now, finding the right team can feel like a huge task. And that's exactly why resources like our practice, Providers for Healthy Living, exist. Our whole team, psychiatrists, therapists, psychologists, we specialize in exactly this kind of comprehensive, evidence-based care. We're really here to support the entire family. So if you think you might need some help building that team, please feel free to check out our website. As we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this one last thought. Your goal is not to fix your child. Your child is not broken. The goal is simply to understand their unique, amazing brain and then to build an environment around them that supports them, that empowers them, and that gives them the space to become the incredible person they are absolutely meant to be. If you found this explainer helpful, we would so appreciate it if you'd give it a like, maybe share it with another parent who could use it, and be sure to subscribe for more guides just like this one. Thanks so much for watching.